Hello and welcome to Dateline New Haven, WNHH-FM, New Haven's home for community radio. I'm Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make our community tick. We are privileged today to have two women in New Haven who sort of made New Haven tick and now are really getting ready to make New Haven tick. Give a happy WNHH welcome to Alders-Elect. I think that's a cool phrase, by the way, when it's more than one. Alders-Elect. Alders-Elect Theresa, Morant, and Brittiany Mabery-Niblac. Did I say that right?
Mabery-Niblac.
Niblac.
Yes.
Welcome to Dateline New Haven, and thanks so much for coming in on Tuesday. Let us know. And when I'm going to ask you when you talk to get real close to that microphone, like you're almost touching it, but not quite. You don't have to get the germs, but we want to hear you. So you newly elected alders. We got a bunch of newly elected alders coming in. We had a few people in last week, and I always love talking about when they're first elected because you're not cynical yet, right? You believe you can be able to do stuff. I mean, you put all this time in, you believe something's going to happen, right? So, but first of all, congratulations on winning.
Thank you.
Teresa, you're in Ward 12, where
Yes.
Gerald Antunes, the alder, for quite a while.
Yes.
I think for 20 years or something, retired.
Yes.
And so you didn't have, but you still had opposition, as did you, Brittiany. Again, it was an open seat. The alder did not run for re-election, but you did have to beat someone. So how'd it go? I mean, how do you feel about being an alder now, Teresa?
Interesting. It's challenging. A lot of information to learn.
One sense I got when you walked in the door today is that even though you don't take office January 1st, your phone's still already ringing, isn't it?
Yes.
Who's calling you?
Many constituents is calling, but prior to me announcing that I was running for alder, I was knocking doors with New Haven Rising about issues in the community in regards to holding large landlords, accountable, fighting for good union jobs, as well as more youth opportunities, and just talking to different constituents. We learned about other issues that they were facing, and it's a lot. It's a lot of issues. And
So you've done a lot of door knocking
Yes.
before you ran for alder, so you
Yes.
know what that was like.
yes,
And, whenever you hear the word on the doors, because you said I've been on the doors, that's usually someone who's at Unite here, and they go out. They know how when there's a
Yeah.
campaign going on, you really have to talk to people face to face. You got to show up at their house and really hear what people are saying directly from them to do something about it.
right.
So was this a natural progression for you, Brittiany, that you had worked in campaigns, labor campaigns? You were also a ward co-chair in New Hallville.
Well,
Was
no,
this
I
like a
wasn't
next
I
step?
wasn't a ward co-chair in New Hallville.
Uh,
I was when I worked at the university. I helped with New Haven Rising, and knocked doors. And also prior to me living in my old neighborhood, I was in with Alder Yvette Hamilton. I was in her ward as well.
Okay.
And I was on her ward committee, and I took the constituents and I was helping in that area as well. So it kind of progressed from there.
And I guess when I looked at your bio, Brittiany, I kind of saw a story that we're hearing more and more of people who are involved in New Haven. It's kind of changed a bit, who's in politics. In the last 10 years now, it's people who got work, maybe at Yale, who've decided that being part of a union was a way that helped them accomplish stuff, not just for themselves, but for their city, that gave them the bug and put them on the doors. And that somehow, this didn't used to be, that being involved in union at work became a stepping stone to being involved in politics. Is that true for you?
I would say it had something to do with it, but I think I was a natural born leader. I did utilize all opportunities that were afforded to me in New Haven that other community members need to know about. So when I was laid off, I was working with New Haven Works. I was introduced to the program that was afforded to New Haven residents, and I learned about the pipeline where Yale promised jobs. So I took advantage of that opportunity. And was
So let me
able
just
to
tell
learn it.
people what that is in case they don't know. So 13 years ago, the Unite Here ran a slate of people, not just in Unite Here, who are labor-oriented, became the majority of the board of alders. And one of their first demands was good jobs for people.
Right.
And they negotiated this organization called New Haven Works.
Yes.
And big employers, especially Yale and Yale New Haven Hospital, but not just them,
Mm-hmm.
agreed that we're going to be part of this. And we're going to help people find good jobs. And since then, a lot of people have found jobs. So when I looked at your bio, Brittiany, you talked about how you had jobs you weren't crazy about when you got out of Southern, when you're done with Southern, and you wanted to kind of step up. And then through New Haven Works,
Yes.
you got a job as a medical administrative assistant at Yale. And were you laid off from that job, or were you laid off previously, and that's how you got that job?
I was laid off from another company in 2018, and I joined New Haven Works in 2018, and I was able to get a job at the university in 2019.
And now you have a new job. Is that because you wanted to move up again?
Yes, I wanted to go down a different career path, and I also utilized New Haven Works to land a job at the state of Connecticut.
And what was that career path?
Through New Haven Works.
But I mean, what career are you looking to go into?
Okay, so I'm going to be administrative assistant for DMIS for the state of Connecticut.
Mental Health Administrative Services.
Yes.
That's one of the weirdest acronyms. DMHAS.
Right. Yes.
And it's got this pronunciation, DMIS.
Yes.
That sounds to me like it should be DEMUS.
Yeah.
That's just my
Department of
personal opinion.
Mental Health and
Just
Addiction Services.
Yeah. So, well, congratulations. So
Thank
that
you.
showed. So you had an example here. Being part of a union was part of a group that made it possible for you to get a better job. So, but how did it technically come about that you then ran for this office? Did you know people from being in that organization?
So when I was working in Ward 23 with Alder Yvette Hamilton, I worked on her work committee. That's when I actually started to get involved with politics and just learn about the world of politics. I never considered myself
And that had to be the fun
politician.
word, because she had the great parties with the goat stews and stuff at her house. If you're involved in her campaigns,
Yeah.
that's got to be the word to get involved in, I think.
Yeah. And, so I met some, very, nice people, Art Perlow. I know my pastor, he was running for ward co-chair in that ward, so I helped canvass his campaign as well. And then I just became part of the ward committee, and that's what ignited something in me to, want to continue to affect change and see change within my community. And then that's when, I started working, and then I ended up buying a house in New Hallville, which landed me into running for Alder in that ward.
And then you bought that house through the Yale Home Buyer Program.
Yes.
I know I'm a broken record here, but that happened partly because of pressure from the city and the unions. They did that a little earlier than when Local 34 took over the city government, but they then refined the program to make sure that priority neighborhoods like New Hallville were places where people who had mid-level jobs could buy homes.
Right.
So am I putting words in your mouth?
No, you're right. Like I said, I utilized every opportunity that was afforded to me. Getting a job, a good union paying job, and utilizing the first time home buyers program at Yale, as well as partnering with Neighborhood Housing Services of New Haven as well. They helped me with the entire process as well for me to be able to purchase a multifamily home in New Haven.
So you'll be a landlord too,
Yes.
but you'll be one of the nice ones.
I am a lovely landlord.
If someone's saying like my faucet doesn't work, they don't have to try to track you down. You can be downstairs.
Nope. He could come right upstairs and knock on my
upstairs.
door.
And we're talking about how to make the city better from two people who've just stepped up to spend a lot of their time the next 2 years as alders, first-term alders in New Haven, Theresa Morant and Brittiany Mabery-Niblac. Niblac?
Niblac, yes.
Niblac. And Dateline New Haven, WNHHFM. So Theresa Morant, I'd gotten it backwards. You were the one who ended up on a ward committee. You grew up, Ward 12 is in what we now call Quinnipiac Meadows.
Yes.
But if I'm correct, they didn't call it that when you were growing up.
No.
They called it Exit 8 or Bishop Woods?
Yes. Exit 8 for sure.
Yeah, and that's Exit 8 off I-91. Isn't it funny how that exit became the exit that called the neighborhood? Like, we don't have Exit 7, we don't have Exit 3,
Right.
we don't have Exit 46 on Long Wharf. What is about Exit 8?
Exit 8.
Maybe that's off just onto Route 80, so there are all those stores. So people
Right. Right.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Walmarts and the big stores.
So you grew up in
Exit
the
8.
neighborhood.
I did.
And what was it like growing up there off Exit 8?
It was nice. It was pretty offset, quiet. Just homeowners. Very, very nice. Very nice neighborhood. Still is nice, but it was definitely nice growing up.
And you, in your career, you started working at St. Ray's, the hospital, right? You're an associate who greets patients and helps them get situated.
Yes, I work in the psychiatric department.
Oh, psychiatric department. Okay,
Yes.
so you kind of be calm, right?
I try.
Yeah.
I try.
But here I'm going to put words in your mouth and tell me if it's accurate or not. So it's for the last 15 years, part of your job, you kind of steer people places. Brittiany was talking about how part of what she's seeing and is her job, if I have it right, is help people know about opportunities like she's benefited from. And you kind of become like a translator, right? Or a guide from the government. You know what's around. You help people find it. Is that something that had to do with why you want to be an alder? Or how come about when Jerry Antunes retired that you decided, hey, I think I'll run for office?
I used to actually be a co-chair in Brittiany's ward
Oh wow.
some years ago with Geneva Pollock. And the alderperson was Brenda Foskey.
Oh, I love Brenda. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's in Hamden
so,
now.
You know, so I learned definitely from the best.
Mhm.
So I used to be a co-chair then, and I enjoyed it then. I enjoyed being able to be a voice for the people, knocking on doors, meeting new people, seeing what the needs are. I really enjoy helping people, being a voice for sure.
And did you were you involved in the union too, like Brittany?
I was.
What union were you with?
I'm with the local 15
I'm not familiar. 15. Are they the?
at St. Ray's.
Oh, when Yale New Haven bought St. Ray's, did the union stay at St. Ray's?
No, the union stayed
because they don't have
Still,
the union at the other campus.
Vito, yeah, they didn't have a campus, but we was able to.
I had no
keep
idea
our
that you
campus.
kept the union with a new owner.
Yes, thank
And
goodness.
how are they doing? What did the union do for you at St. Ray's?
They just keep things grounded. They keep us, especially being a York Street,
Mhm.
Yale is a definite corporation, so you have to keep them grounded.
And boy, they've gotten big. So you were there before Yale New Haven took over St. Raphael's.
I was.
And what was that like to be there when that happened? That was a culture change, right?
It was definitely different. And the ironic part about it was I was at St. Ray's and I said that I would never work for Yale New Haven Hospital. And then they came and took over. So I was like, I guess I will work for them.
I didn't see that one coming myself. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming. So,
Oh, is that because St. Ray's had the reputation of being sort of a little smaller,
Yeah,
cozier?
yeah.
But Yale New Haven had the reputation, right or wrong, of being a little sharper.
Yeah.
Like if you were going to
yeah.
maybe die of something that was a little complicated, you want to be at Yale New Haven. And if you
Right.
wanted to like get a little more TLC and feel like you were cozy, you want to go to St. Ray's. That's not
Yeah.
right.
I always thought St. Raphael's was more family-ish,
Yeah.
like you said, a small, and Yale was like this big giant. But they're good though. They're good. Yale is good.
And so you got involved in politics in the ward committee. And what brought you back to Ward 8? I mean, to Exit 8 Ward.
I came back because, well, Jerry had left before, and I was thinking about it then. But then, he decided to stay, and I would never in a million years run against Jerry. Let's get that clear. But this time he was done. He just said, he was done. So I said, okay. So because we have a lot of other different things now in our area.
But were you already living back in the neighborhood? Had you come back?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
What brought you back?
Just my mom's still there, for one. So it was easy. It was easy to be back. So when Jerry decided that was enough, and seeing now, because we always been a little sit back neighborhood, but now bigger issues came about. So we had a dispensary trying to come. Now we got the hotel shelter coming. So now it's just a bigger monster, and it has to be people that can stand up and be the voice for the people. Because people have questions. People nervous. They're scared. They're the homeless shelter's coming. Oh, what does that mean? And da da da. So they needed representation, and I know I'm a voice. So
How did it technically come about? Did someone suggest to you? Did Jerry suggest it to you? Do you know him from growing up? Or?
Yeah. Well, Jerry lives like 2 doors down from me, so we talk here and there. But once he said that was it, it was an easy decision.
You say people are scared. It's kind of interesting. What always scared me about your ward was riding my bike there. Because everything's like a super highway. You ever notice that on Route 80?
Right.
So people going in 9 directions, big trucks, people driving 5 times the speed limit, going in and out of all the, the parking lots for all the fast food establishments, And I know people talk about traffic there. People get hit a lot over there.
Big time.
And but now is that what they're scared about? They're more scared about the proposal, just to let the listeners know what you're referring to, was there was a Days Inn, 56 rooms that the city bought, and they're going to make it a shelter for homeless people to live, I guess up to 60, how many days at a time, where they get like a room rather than being in one big gymnasium with cots. Yeah.
And, they were pretty, they had questions. We're pretty nervous about that. So, you just have to reassure them, because actually it's a beautiful thing to be able to contribute to helping the homeless population, because it's grown so, big here. So it's actually an honor for me, working in psych as it is, dealing with a lot of homeless people, and to now be able to have a solution to help this homeless.
So where do you come as an alder here to just get their questions answered?
That's yeah, and assure them.
But you're happy
that
it's
okay.
happening.
I am because it's a solution.
You're not
to a
saying not
problem.
in my neighborhood.
No, because they're people too. So, and everybody's not homeless by choice. Some was just bad decisions, or something could have happened that caused it. So, I'm more happy to be a solution.
What kind of questions are you answering for people about whether there'll be people on site for security?
Correct. People are very concerned. Our neighborhood is a lot of homeowners, and they're very concerned. So the mayor and the staff from come, and they just assure them that it's going to be a smooth. This is how it's going to run. It's not just a shelter that people could just come hang outside, no rules and stuff like that. It's a structured plan. There's a strategy to this.
I've been kind of impressed with how the last few years New Haven's been trying to come up with solutions like that. I'm thinking about when in the pandemic hit and they did this in West Hills, though not everybody loved it there, but they went to a motel and got people in the rooms over the winter and said this might be a longer range idea, and you try to get them help on site if they needed help.
Correct.
So am I right with the two of you when I'm hearing you about why to be an alder? Some people have like a big issue, right? Like, I want to see city do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Or like when the Unite Here people had they had 3 issues about community policing and the good jobs for people. I'm trying to remember what the third was. I'm sorry, it's not hitting me right now. But is it more with you about you just want to serve in terms of being a connection between the people and power and government so that they can have opportunities, or do you also have any kind of issues that you're excited about playing a part in crafting solutions?
I think the most important part of being an alder is really having a heart for the people and really caring about the people that you serve. There's a lot of issues, ranging from sidewalks, trees, speed bumps, jobs, holding mega landlords accountable, having more opportunities for youth. The problems range from, on a smaller scale to much larger scale. And I think the important thing is to hear each constituent out and try to be an advocate, try to be a voice, and also hold those in power or at City Hall and hold those people accountable and follow up.
So what do you think about mega landlords? So these are people who buy lots of property. Some of them own from investors from out of town. They buy low-income property, you get Section 8 people renting. Some of them own more property than the Housing Authority does for doing this job, and they're not always doing such a good job keeping it up, right? So as an alder, what are you hearing, Brittiany, and how are you feeling you might address the issue?
Even knocking on doors. I've seen, outside, like, trash. I've seen ceilings caving in.
You've seen ceilings caving in?
Yes. I've seen, windows needing to be fixed, like, rusted out. It's a lot. And I think, like, landlord like Mandy, Pike, Ocean, Diamond, to name a few, they're buying up all of these properties. They're going up on a rent, and they're not keeping up with the upkeep of the properties. People are literally living in slumps. They're not living comfortably, and they're paying. I think if they're paying that much, and then these landlords are going up each year on a rent, I think they should give them a place where they could live comfortably and make sure that they're keeping up with the upkeep of the property. And that's what they're not doing.
And how is it all? Are you going to hold them accountable or get response?
I'm going to continue knocking doors. I'm going to continue partnering with other community organizations and seeing what we can do. There is some stuff in the works, and I'm going to continue to, assist where needed.
The Fair Rent Commission has more teeth than it used to. That's one area. If you feel the rent isn't fair, then they can hold it back. There's also the inspections. Do we have enough inspectors out? What are you noticing, Theresa, on that?
As far as
housing inspectors to make sure these landlords do their job.
Oh yeah. As Brittiany said, walking and knocking on doors, I've seen some horrid conditions
from landlords.
Yes.
What have you seen?
Like the doors with no doorknobs, the locks broken, painting trash in the hallways.
And is that the landlord sometimes, or is that the tenant with the trash and landlord and trash in the hallways?
Well, whether it's the landlord or the tenant, if it is the tenant, the landlord should have property managers on the premises.
And are they not doing a good enough job in property management? I know, in fact,
No.
it started in your part of town, this tennis union
Right.
on
But I love
Quinnipiac
it.
Ave. Yeah.
I love it.
And so what do you think when you hear Brittiany talk about this and you talk about what you saw? So this struck you when you were campaigning about the condition of rental properties?
Definitely. And I walked Brittany's ward, so I seen even some of the stuff that she.
Any thoughts in addition to echoing what Brittiany said, how you'd like to address the issue when you're in office?
Absolutely. Brittany is. I love Brittany. Brittany is. She's powerful.
What I meant, do you have thoughts about how to address the issue?
As far as just partnering with people, definitely like LCI for sure.
Mm-hmm.
LCI.
So LCI, you're going to
Yeah.
be on speed dial? We don't have speed dial anymore. LCI, you remember speed dial? You're too young. Remember speed dial?
I remember speed
You
dial.
remember speed dial?
Yeah.
It's so funny. The world changed. There's no more speed dial. Everything is speed dial. But is LCI going to be on your contacts?
Absolutely.
Should they be expecting to hear from the two of you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And who they'll be hearing from? They'll be hearing from Alders, Brittiany, Mabery-Niblac, and Theresa Morant, newly elected. We'll call them Alders-Elect for a few more minutes, and then January 1st, they're being sworn in. And we're talking about that on Dateline New Haven and WNHH FM. So what about affordable housing more broadly? So we know that we need Alders on the front lines to say, hey, I don't have a doorknob, I'm not even safe, they're caved in. But more broadly, we don't have affordable places to live, and that's a tough question, right?
Yes.
Like some people who agree we need more affordable housing disagree about how to get it, right? So we passed a law that said if you're building new apartments, you got to set aside some that people can afford in addition to market rate. But other people say that actually gets you less affordable housing. Have you ever familiar with this theory? That because then it costs too much for them to build it because they don't make enough money on the rent, so then they don't build it. But if they do build something that's just for wealthier people, then you have more apartments there. Right. So then the other apartments won't cost as much because of supply and demand. But other people said that's a theory. That's not the way it works in real life. So one group is called Build, Build, Build. Yes, in my backyard, right? And these are people who all agree we need more affordable housing. Other people say, no, you need to put the rules on like New Haven did and require that some of that, everything you build is affordable. What have you folks thought about that?
I actually do not have an answer for that question because I'm still thinking about it.
As just about everyone in the country who deals with the issue, nobody's sure.
Yeah.
Some people think it creates a new reality when you bring all these wealthy people in, they kind of take over the neighborhood, and then more people like that come in. But other people say there's a finite number of people who want to come in, so then you will take the pressure off the rent. So it's hard to. But like a great example, it's not directly in your ward, but it's in New Hallville's 201 Munson's. You got that one block on Science Park. You got that. You got two other properties and old factories up the hill. You got across the street, which is a little, I think, more of a mix of affordable on the vacant lot there by the edge of Monterey. You got four big, and then down the street, you got all affordable housing with the church that's building, the Brooks' Church is building that complex. You got so much housing going up there. And when I walk by there, I have people stop me from the neighbors saying, am I going to be able to afford to live there? And I really don't know what to tell them. Like 200 months and no. What do you think when you see all those apartments going up near the edge of your ward?
I believe that there should be a gateway for better paying jobs for people to be able to afford where they live. And opportunities for people to have access to more affordable housing or building affordable homes that people could buy. Housing is an issue, and it's been an issue for a while, and I believe that there should be some solutions in place. And when developers build and they feel like having a certain amount that are affordable housing for the community is beneficial, then I'm for it. But I think that they should be accountable for those numbers of apartments and give it to the people that actually really need it.
And any thoughts about other ideas about dealing with either affordable housing or homelessness? There's this whole debate about Rosette Street. They put those little tiny shelters. They call them tiny homes. They're kind of in between a closet and an apartment, right? But that it gets you out of the cold, right? It's kind of safe. And so they're building. I'm saying we can squeeze a lot of this on a property. The city's saying you're not up to a building code yet. You want to make sure it doesn't burn down. They're made out of particle board. What's your theory about the tiny homes?
I actually do not have an answer for that question.
And that's cool, by the way. I love the way that you don't just say, I think this about everything. You're learning, right? Right. Have you followed it at all, or the tiny homes thing?
I have a little.
What's your thought on it? That's okay. But I'm interested in just watching what's going to happen, because it's getting cold now. But
It is getting cold. I mean, I think it's just a solution that someone had to help.
Yeah. And what about schools? You both go to public schools in New Haven when you grew up?
Yes.
Where did you go? You went to Hill House.
Yes, I was born and raised in New Haven. I've been to New Haven public schools all my life.
And where did you go to school, Theresa?
I went to Hill House for a few, but then I went to Eli Whitney.
Eli Whitney, okay.
Yeah.
So given your own experience, what you're seeing now, what kind of picture do you have of the public schools? Do you think there's work that needs to be done, work that you're interested in calling attention to how to improve education?
There are a lot of issues. It's very different from when I was in school. From the food to it's just different.
How's the food different?
It's different, and yeah, it's very different from when I grew up. My kids, they do not eat the school lunches.
How come?
It's just their preference.
You know what's surprising when my kids went to Edgewood School was, and I don't know if this happened when they were in high school because they brought lunch, but when they gave you juice or an apple, it was frozen solid. You couldn't eat the apple or the fruit juice, couldn't drink it because it was frozen solid. I remember saying, you got something healthy. Oh, you can't. So what do? You pack your kids' lunches?
I tell them to. They're old enough.
How old are your kids?
They're 15 and 13. One of my daughters actually is not in a New Haven public school. She took advantage of the ACES open choice, and she's in Amity Orange.
How's that work out?
It's working out pretty well for her. I actually brought my daughter, my oldest. She started in Amity her freshman year, and I actually brought her back to the New Haven public school system. So she's at Hill House right now.
And why did you bring her back?
I just felt it was better for her future. More opportunities afforded to her in New Haven, like the New Haven Promise Scholarship, and she runs track, so she's currently running track for Hill House. It's
the reason I'm asking you a question. I'm so interested in this question because you remember Sheff versus O'Neill, the lawsuit about desegregating schools, and one decision they came up with is you got to let some people go from a city to a suburban school, and some people in New Haven it works out great for.
And some
people feel like they can't really deal with the city kids. Sometimes it's racial. I've had some parents say, they really can't deal with black kids. Yeah. Other people just say, like my kid wasn't going to thrive there the way they did back at Hill House. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. But for one, it's split with your kids.
Yeah, it was a culture shock for my oldest. Going from New Haven public school to a suburban school it was a culture shock, and it was very different from her. So she didn't thrive as I wanted her to her freshman year. She also ran track. So I graduated from Hill House, and great diamonds come out of Hill House. Class of 2007, I think we were the best. But looking at my classmates now, they're all majority are successful and are doing a very fantastic job, including myself. Class of 2007, but my daughter, she goes to Hill House and she does run track, and I just thought it would be better for her. In a New Haven public school.
But the other child is doing okay in Amity.
Yeah, she's doing okay in Amity, but when she graduates next year, in 2024, I will be bringing her back to New Haven.
Oh, she's in middle school.
Yes.
Middle school's tough years. I don't know if there's such a thing as a school that's okay to go to when you're in middle school.
Yeah.
Those are tough years.
It's different. I wanted to try something different with them just to see, how it will be, but, I'm bringing it.
And how's Hill House doing? They've had 3 principals in 3 years, and in the pandemic, they were having trouble finding enough teachers to kind of teach the classes. I talked to one house parent the other day who said they've had one course where the teacher hasn't been there for 2.5 months.
Yeah, my daughter's one of her classes is going through a similar situation.
It's not statistics, is it?
I'm not sure.
I
can't answer that because.
But they also have some really, vibrant people there. I know assistant principal Jonathan Berryman has a lot of good things going on there.
I love Mr. Berryman. He's doing a fantastic job. I will say a teacher shortage is just not in New Haven. It's
everywhere.
It's everywhere. So we can't just say, the statistics of New Haven not having enough teachers. That's a statewide issue.
Yeah.
With a teacher shortage.
And cops.
Yes, and cops.
And former cops who were alders. Aren't alders anymore like in your ward, Theresa. What do we do about that? How do you feel about policing New Haven? Do we need to fill those ranks? Is there a way to do that or alternate approaches?
I believe so. I believe that the children are our future. And I know that's a cliche, but I believe that, that if more of our youth took advantage of the PAL program, I think we could really, gear up some of our youth to want to take a career in.
Well, Hill House has the public safety program, correct? Where you can start earning
Yes.
credits toward that.
Yes. So I think if our youth was to start seeing policing in a different light and get more education on it, I believe that they will have a more a light to want to go in that direction. If they have more education and knew more about it, what is a police officer? What do a police officer do? What is the job? What are they supposed to do? I think they have like a negative impression. So I think if they were more educated, they may want to take an interest in that field.
I've been noticing that officers of color who grew up in New Haven are young. They go to the academy. They're fired up to do a good job in New Haven. Within 2 years, Hamden or some other town is saying, we'll pay you more money and you don't have to be in as much danger, and they're gone. Any thoughts about how we deal with that?
Pay them more.
Yeah.
Right. Well, right now we have 55 months with no contract. Well, what's going to happen with that? Not 55 months, 55 weeks. What are we going to do about that? You think?
I am not sure. I am not sure, and I cannot answer that.
Well, Theresa, how do you feel about policing in New Haven? Are you feeling good about the way the cops? You have the oddest district that goes all the way from where you live all the way down to Morris Cove. That's like a city in itself. It's one district. They've talked for a long time about putting it in half, but now there aren't even enough district managers for the 10 districts we have. We have 4 doing all 10 districts. Are you feeling okay about police response and accountability in Hugh Meadows?
Yeah. I'm with the police. They're doing their job.
If you can get close to the mic, yeah.
We have a they're hiring and bringing in new young ones, new vibrant, fresh police. So I'm pretty.
Well, it sounds like both of you see when you're talking about connecting people to opportunities. Are you both saying that you want to connect young people to opportunities to become cops?
Yeah, if I will go for it. I mean, if that's what they're interested in, why not?
I mean, I'm cops, teacher, fire department,
any
EMR,
public service,
Yes, any public
profession
service.
that's gonna help. And who would be a better candidate to somebody that is actually born and raised in New Haven, that actually been in the trenches, that actually know the city, knows people.
Yes.
I think that would be a good idea.
So, what are there any other top issues I left out that are on your agenda? Traffic calming, drug, substance abuse. Any other thoughts that are? You talked about mega landlords. You talked about a lot. Talking about mega landlords. Talking about opportunities for jobs. You talked about policing. Any other and housing. Yeah. Anything else? We kind of hit the high notes.
I'm pretty excited. There's a lot that have been done, but the more work that's done, the more work that needs to be done. And previous alders in my ward, Ms. Delphine, I love her. She is like the epitome of an alder. She's been working with me. Her and I have been, really talking about, just how to, effectively be an alder. And I'm going to take her advice and really execute to the best of my ability and serve the people in my ward.
I did want to ask you, do you have any role models? Is that your role model? Do you have heroes in politics, either local or national?
Ms. Delphine Clyburn. She is definitely my role model.
How about you two? Saying when you saw do the job, that you thought did it well, you'd like to do it the same way?
Oh yeah. Like I said, Brenda Foskey definitely, answers a lot of questions I have. Hands down, Jerry Antunes, one of the best. And one that she's no longer an alder, but definitely I just love and respect her so much, and the way she do things is Jacqueline James Boyd. Jacqueline James, I love her. She's
she got people to help you
me.
get the ropes but it sounds like you're ready to go.
Yes, we ready.
I have no concerns about the two of you.
We ready, right, Brittiany?
Yes,
We
definitely.
ready.
Definitely.
Although if I was in charge of a doorknob that was broken, I might have some concerns about the two of you. Sounds like you're not going to let people get away with that, are you? Well, thank you so much for making the time. It's really a pleasure to be both of you.
Thank you for having
Congratulations
us. Thank you
on
so
winning
much.
election as alders in Ward 12. and Ward 21
or
Yes.
20.
or 20.
Yes.
Okay, in New Hallville. Brittiany, Mabery-Niblac, and Theresa Morant. Thanks for joining us on Dateline New Haven. We'll have you back when you let us know how it went.
Okay.
Perfect.
What
Thank
to
you.
report.
Thank
Thanks
you.
to Harry Droz behind the controls. We're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It'd Feel to Be Free from the group CD A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day and all night at WNHH New Haven's home for community radio.